You know that feeling. It's 3 p.m., and your brain feels like it's wading through thick mud. You have this stubborn ring of belly fat that absolutely refuses to budge, even though you're cutting calories and grinding away at the gym. You feel lethargic, heavy, almost toxic, like you are aging faster than you should be, yet your doctor looks at your lab results and tells you everything is normal. Science actually has a name for this state. It is the urgent symptom of subclinical failure. Deep inside your body, your mitochondria, the engines of your metabolism, are literally stalling out because they are choking on their own exhaust fumes. So, what do? You fall into the mainstream trap. You think this is just a calorie problem or a lack of willpower or a caffeine deficiency. Or worse, you follow the dirty keto advice. You start loading up on processed protein bars, deli meats and snacks dripping in seed oils just to hit your daily macros. But here is the biological truth. Those nitrates in processed meats and those oxidized oils aren't feeding you. They are actively draining your liver's battery. They trigger what we call the glutathione drain, a condition that accelerates your aging and deepens your metabolic dysfunction. You aren't fixing your engine, you are just pouring dirty fuel into a broken tank. We are going to prove that your inability to lose fat and clear that brain fog has absolutely nothing to do with your willpower. It is actually about a massive biological traffic jam called the cysteine bottleneck. We are going to uncover exactly how unlocking this specific cellular gate restores your body's master antioxidant, seals up your leaky gut, and reverses a silent decade of metabolic damage. Let's decode the engine inside your cells. The mechanism at play here revolves around the creation of glutathione, your body's master antioxidant. Think of glutathione as your internal defense shield against metabolic waste. Its synthesis happens on a specific two-step assembly line. But there is a major catch. The first step on this line is controlled by an enzyme called glutamate cysteine ligase, or GCL. This is the rate-limiting gate. For this gate to open, it requires a very specific amino acid, cysteine. Without cysteine, the enzyme sits completely idle, the factory shuts down, and when that happens, your cells lose the ability to neutralize the reactive oxygen species, or ROS, that are naturally produced every time your body creates energy. This leads directly to mitochondrial dysfunction and oxidative stress, completely stalling your body's ability to burn fat. Let's visualize exactly what is happening inside you right now. Picture your mitochondria as a high-speed engine. As it runs, it naturally throws off these red, jagged sparks. This is the ROS. In a healthy cell, this isn't a problem. But in a sick cell, the fire extinguisher, glutathione, is missing. So, those red sparks land directly on your cell walls. They begin to burn, turning what should be a smooth, flexible membrane into a stiff, charred, black crust. In biochemistry, we call this lipid peroxidation. Your cell fills with toxic smoke, the engine chokes, and your metabolism grinds to a halt. You are in sick and storage mode. Now, let's look at heal and burn mode. We introduce our hero molecule, NAC. Visualize NAC as a perfectly cut key that slides directly into that jammed GCL gate. Click. The gate swings wide open. Immediately, the cellular factory roars to life, churning out thousands of cool green fire extinguishers. They rush to the engine and spray down the mitochondria. The red sparks vanish instantly, dissolving into harmless water. That stiff, charred black crust on your cell walls heals, turning pink and flexible once again. The smoke clears, and the engine roars back to life, finally able to burn fuel cleanly. But here is the most dangerous part of this process. If this cysteine bottleneck is left unfixed, you enter what we call the silent decade. This is the real trap. For 10 to 15 years, your body desperately tries to compensate. It starts pumping out massive amounts of insulin just to force sugar into these damaged, resistant cells. Deep inside your liver, this triggers a silent accumulation. Microscopic yellow lipid droplets, fat, begin to clog up your liver cells. Your biochemistry literally shifts gears, redirecting your metabolism away from burning fat and into permanently storing it. This condition, hepatic steatosis, is taking root long before a doctor ever diagnoses you with diabetes. Biochemistry doesn't lie, and the clinical proof of this reversal is staggering. In a landmark randomized clinical trial at Baylor College of Medicine, known as the GlyNAC trials, researchers tested this exact mechanism. They found that providing older adults with the specific precursors, NAC and glycine, didn't just passively boost antioxidant levels in a test tube. It fundamentally reversed mitochondrial dysfunction in living human beings. Muscle strength improved. More incredibly, it restored their gait speed, the physical pace at which they walked, to levels seen in young adults. They didn't just stop the aging process biologically, they reversed it by unclogging this single metabolic bottleneck. Here is the ultimate metabolic surprise, and it is the missing link that finally explains why you feel so mentally drained. The cysteine bottleneck isn't just affecting your liver's ability to burn fat, it is physically unzipping your intestines. This is the hidden reality of the gut-brain axis. Your gut lining is not a solid wall, it is made of single cells held together by structures called tight junctions. Think of these junctions like interlocking zippers that keep the contents of your digestive tract separate from your bloodstream. But here is what the research now proves. Glutathione is structurally essential to keep these zippers locked tight. When your glutathione levels drop, your gut barrier fails. Let's walk through the chain reaction that is happening inside you right now. Step 1 is the root cause. Chronic stress, lack of sleep, or that dirty diet we talked about begins to drain your cysteine and glutathione reserves. Step 2 is the transmission. Without glutathione holding the structure together, those tight junctions, the zippers between your gut cells, literally disassemble. They drift apart, creating microscopic, gaping holes in your intestinal wall. Step 3 is total systemic failure. Toxic bacterial particles, known as LPS or lipopolysaccharides, leak through these newly formed gaps and flood directly into your bloodstream. Science calls this state metabolic endotoxemia. It is a biological breach. These toxins don't just stay in your blood, they travel all the way up to your brain. Once there, they trigger a massive wave of neuroinflammation. That afternoon brain fog, the sudden anxiety, the feeling that your brain is wading through mud, that is not you being tired. That is your brain on fire from bacterial toxins leaking through a gut barrier that has lost its antioxidant shield. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, I will just take a massive dose of vitamin C or vitamin E to fix this. We need to bust this myth right now because following that advice is actually harmful. This is called the antioxidant paradox. You cannot simply flood your system with random high-dose direct antioxidants. Research shows that taking huge amounts of vitamin C or E can actually cause a state called reductive stress. It overwhelms the system and can even blunt the beneficial effects of your exercise. You end up doing more harm than good. Your body is much smarter than that. This is why we use NAC. NAC is not a direct antioxidant, it is a precursor, it is the raw material. When you take NAC, your body uses it to create glutathione only until the enzyme is fully saturated, and then it stops. It is a self-regulating system. It refills the tank without overflowing it. This is why in biochemistry, precursors are infinitely superior to direct antioxidants. You are giving your body the exact key it needs to seal the gut, put out the fire, and restore your metabolism without breaking the system. So, how do we rescue your metabolism and get this engine running again? We start by ruthlessly eliminating the metabolic imposters, the fake health foods you might be eating right now thinking you are doing your body a favor. First, you need to stop eating processed cured meats, like conventional bacon or sausages loaded with nitrates. In your gut, these nitrates convert into nitrosamines, highly toxic compounds that aggressively deplete your liver's glutathione reserves. Second, you must eliminate industrial seed oils. These oils are packed with oxidized lipids. Consuming them is like dropping a metabolic bomb in your bloodstream that requires massive amounts of your precious glutathione just to neutralize. You cannot heal your system if you are constantly draining the tank. Instead, we are going to start giving your body the raw structural materials it is begging for. You need to load up on cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and Brussels sprouts, which provide the essential sulfur backbone required to build cysteine. Combine this with real bone broth or a high-quality collagen supplement to provide glycine, cysteine's critical partner in this process. But to truly reverse the cysteine bottleneck and biohack your way out of the silent decade, we are going to use the exact intervention proven in the clinical trials. The GlyNAC protocol, the gold standard here, is combining NAC, N-acetylcysteine, with glycine in a 1-to-1 ratio. For practical application, this usually looks like taking about 600 milligrams to 1 gram of each. NAC is the key that unlocks the bottleneck, and glycine is the essential partner that aging bodies are almost always deficient in. Take these on an empty stomach so they don't have to compete with other dietary proteins for absorption. There is one more nutrient hero we must include: selenium. Think of selenium as the ignition switch. Once your body creates glutathione, it requires a specific enzyme called glutathione peroxidase to actually put out the metabolic fire. This enzyme is entirely dependent on selenium. Without it, you have a brand new fire extinguisher but absolutely no handle to squeeze. Just 2 Brazil nuts a day provides all the selenium your thyroid and liver need to activate this system. Finally, we amplify this entire protocol with a specific 16 to 8 intermittent fasting window. You fast for 16 hours and eat your clean nutrients within an 8-hour window. Why? Because fasting activates a genetic master switch inside your cells called the NRF2 pathway. This is the signal that tells your DNA to build more of those GCL enzymes. By fasting, you are actively expanding the size of the antioxidant factory, preparing it for the raw materials you are about to provide. By stacking these habits, you don't just lose weight, you turn the cellular engine back on, you seal the intestinal gates, and you clear the fog from your brain. But now that we have sealed your gut and restocked your antioxidant reserves, we have a new problem. We have to protect your progress. In the next video, we are going to investigate the hidden nighttime villain. We will discuss how the blue light from your screens might be suppressing the very hormones you need to repair this metabolic damage while you sleep, keeping you locked in a stress cycle you didn't even know you were in.